Welcome. Today I'm going to show you how to make a leaf platter. Pardon me. All right, so you want to start out, this is time sensitive. You want to get a leaf that is not dried out. So as we're coming into fall, this is a good time, but once the leaves dry out, you can't do this. All right, so I have a neighbor who has these huge elephant ears, and like he has big ones too, and he let me cut these off of his whatever bush. I don't know what they're called, but they're just really cool. And so the stem here, what you want to do is you want to start out, you want to trim that stem down to like a nub, like so. So get rid of that and just hold off on this to the side, okay? Then you're going to take some clay. I'm using a Funky Fired 40, which is a low fire white clay. So it's gray, but will fire. And when it fires, it'll be cream. I'm going to cut some of the clay by wire cutter. All right. It's already in kind of a patty form. So if you get clay that has been recycled, like scraps, you'll need to wedge it first. Okay. Then take your two sticks, put it on either side of the clay. So that way your clay doesn't get any thinner than this stick, which is about 1/4 of an inch thick. And you're going to roll and flip. Wow. Roll and flip. Now, I'm trying to rule out a slab that this is going to fit on. So keep that in mind. If you have a bigger leaf, you might have to attach 2 slabs. I'm going to show you how to do that too. So, just take a butter knife. I'm going to cut this. I'm going to set this piece of clay off to the side. All right. Continue with my rolling and flipping. Now, if your newspaper gets wet, don't fret, just flip it over. Okay? And if you don't have the sticks like this, if you have the sticks like this, yeah, the sticks are on either side of your clay, but it's not doing anything for you. You need this barrier so it doesn't get too thin. Okay? Now you might say to yourself, well, how do I know it's thin enough? If you do like that and there's a divot, that means you need to keep rolling. And you really want to put your body into it. If you're seated doing this, it's not doing anything for you. Okay. Okay. All right. Then you're going to take a plastic rib, and I'm going to smooth out the clay, going vertical, horizontal, diagonal, diagonal. And what I'm doing is compressing the clay so that way I won't have cracking later on. Flip it over, repeat. Vertical, horizontal, diagonal, diagonal. Okay, so now the clay is prepared. I want to caution you at this point, this clay coming straight from the bag is very soft. So I'm going to want to be proactive and get a board. Okay, so just get a board, because once we put this leaf on here, you move it around, you're not going to want to pick this clay up. You're going to want to have it on a board. So I just take a tray and I'm covering it with plastic. We don't want the clay to stick to the board or drywall board or whatever it is that you're using. Okay, so we are ready to roll. All right, now, if you look here, this slab is not big enough for this leaf, okay? And then if I take a look, it's not even big enough for this leaf. So I'm going to take this pre-rolled out slab and I'm going to roll another slab. So you're going to flip and roll, flip and roll. And if you find the newspaper is getting kind of damp, just move out of the wet spot. Or you can get smarter. That's why I like to have a few full sheets of newspaper, because if you don't have that, if you just have one newspaper, then you're going to have to constantly go get some newspaper. So the best artists are the artists with the most tricks. Okay. That is why I like full sheets. Okay, and I keep going, and looks like I'm almost done. All right, there we go. Okay. Now, butter, vertical. I don't expect you to go this fast, but I don't want to use too much of your time, so I'm kind of doing speed demo right now. So vertical, horizontal, diagonal, and flip. And again, this helps with cracking later on. It compresses the clay. Okay, and smooths it out too. All right, there we go. All right, now it's time to attach the two pieces. Okay, so take both slabs, kind of put them down like so. And what I like to do is cut a clean edge, extra clay. Now, if you can't cut with a clean edge that way, take your stick, cut, okay? And now, whenever you attach two pieces of clay, you must score. Scratch before you attach. So I'm going to score one side using a fork. If you have a scoring tool, awesome. I'd rather spend my money on clay and glazes than on fancy tools. All right, so both sides are scored like so. Then you're going to take a little bit of water. Dab, 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 dab. Then you're going to put the scratch to the scratch. So you're going to overlap it just a little bit, okay? I like to take the palm of my hands, just kind of compress it a little bit, like so. And then you're going to butter this. Now, imagine a piece of hot toast and a cold piece of butter, okay? You don't want to rip the toast. The toast is the clay. You don't want to rip the toast. So we're going to butter the seam together. Carefully buttering it, marrying these two pieces of clay. Now, if you got a big hump, you can take your rolling pin and go like that. But be careful. You might want to put sticks on either side so that way you don't get the clay too thin. So I'm buttering. And if you get clay on your rib, you can just scrape it off like so. That on the side of the table. Just make sure you clean that up. Okay, butter, 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 butter. So we're getting rid of that seam. Some of it I'm scraping off because the overlap creates a little bit of a hump. Okay. Now I'm going to flip this. Now, trick. Instead of picking this up and flipping it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some more newspaper. I'm going to place it down on top of that slab. Underneath, flip. Voila. Trick. Okay. Now I'm going to butter the other side because you can see the seam here. Okay. Butter, butter, butter. Don't rip the toast. Okay. There we go. Beautiful. All right. Then I take my leaf and I gauge to see, is it fitting? I just need to move it over just a little bit. Okay, maybe just a little bit dingy. Okay, here we go, here we go. That little bump kind of bothers me, but I'm just going to have to deal with it. Now you want to take your rolling pin and carefully roll this leaf into the clay. We want to get the impression of the leaf and all the veins in the clay. Okay, then we got that. All right, so then now what I'm going to teach you how to do is called a sunshine cut. Okay, so I'm going to cut away like rays of sunshine. Okay, rays of sunshine. All right, then what you want to do is take a knife, needle tool, or some cutting device, and you're going to cut the outside, remove the excess clay. Do another cut here. I do the sunshine cut because it makes it more manageable for you. And this is like a beautiful way to make a platter for Thanksgiving, a bread bowl, fruit bowl. And what's nice is we're using nature as our template. Okay, so now I have my leaf. I have my leaf on. I'm just gonna carefully flip this. Oh, can you grab that for me? Okay, so here we go. This clay, as you can see, is really, really moist. So, Sienna, can you put that tray right on top of that newspaper? Thank you. Okay, so I'm putting it down so I can sign my name in the year. Okay, then I'm going to flip it again. Okay, place it down. You want to keep the leaf on the clay. You want to keep the leaf on the clay. And then what you're going to do, you might have to keep this in your cubby to wait a few days for it to stiffen up to get to that sweet spot. This is a little moist. If you get clay over that's been recycled and it's a little bit stiffer, then you can do the next step with ease. But if you find that you have this problem, what I'm about to show you, then you might have to wait. So we're going to bring up the sides. And it's somewhat holding its shape. And then instead of picking up the piece and moving it, I'm going to be smarter and I'm going to move the tray. The less that you can touch this, the better. Because otherwise you'll have your fingerprint marks all over it. And then it just starts looking dingy and dirty and poor craftsmanship. So you want to think about craftsmanship. Craftsmanship and also functionality. Okay? So see how that's kind of like falling? Keep the leaf on here. Okay? So my name's already on the bottom, but as you can see, my sides are kind of falling a little bit. If that's the case, what you want to do is get a trash bag. If it's on a tray, you might have to get a kitchen trash bag. And you might want to put this in the trash bag to let it set up for a few days. If you leave this exposed to the air without a bag on it, when you come back to this, it'll all be dried out, bone dry. You'll have to start over. Okay? So now you say to yourself, why would I keep the leaf? Why would I keep the leaf on the clay? Won't that burn in the kiln? Yes, it will. So we want to keep that in there, and then the kiln it'll just burn to ash. So when it comes out, you can just be like, and it'll just blow off the ash in the trash can. So I'm going to go ahead and take the leaf off just so you can see the veins of the leaf. And I even like smooth down with my fingers to make sure that I'm really getting all the veins. But I want you to be able to see this for the demo. You see the veins? Okay. So beautiful way of making a nice platter. The last thing you're going to need to do is you're going to take a sponge, dip the sponge in some water, squeeze all that water out, then take your fingers and you want to smooth your edges. You want to smooth your edges all the way around. And you'll notice that it's very flimsy. If you don't smooth your edges, when it's fired, it'll be as hard as stone, and somebody passing this at Thanksgiving will cut their hand. It'll be razor sharp. So no thinner than this, no thinner than 1/4 of an inch. Clay explodes when there's moisture present. So if I put this in the kiln right now, this would shatter into a million pieces. If there's any moisture, so like this block of clay, if I put that in the kiln, even if it seems like it's dried out, it's not, it's too thick. If clay, it won't dry in all its spots that it needs to, and then that's when things explode. So thank you for joining us.